Greetings, creature. It is I, VK Jehonim, and the V stands for Vidian. Tonight we're going to talk about channeling. Now, occultists are advised to write down any messages they get from the spirits they work with. The idea is before you summon them, you write down a handwritten list of questions you want to ask them. And as you receive those answers, you write them down so you can review them later. This is important for a lot of different reasons. When you're still getting used to evocation, it can be extremely intense and disorienting. So much so that it can be hard to remember what you even summoned the spirit to ask about. That's why you show up with a handwritten list. And since it's also difficult to remember the answers you get, that's why you're supposed to write down the answers. Now, obviously, as you get more and more accustomed to evocation and channeling, it does get easier to remember the messages you are given. But it's still important to write those messages down. Even if you develop enough magical memory, that is the ability to remember what spirits say to you, you still gain a lot from writing down the messages. So demons tend to speak with a purpose. If they tell you to do something that you already planned on doing, or if they reassure you about something that you don't feel like you needed reassurance about, they're doing it for a reason. The reason in some cases, there were times where I was told that I was reminded to do something I already was planning to do. And if I hadn't been, I would not have followed through. Recently, I channeled Chavajoth, and it gave me reassurance about something. It told me something I already knew. The reassurance, while nice, felt unnecessary. A few days later, I had a bit of a day where I was experiencing some self-doubt. I just so happened to reread the messages I got from Chavajoth that day and saw that he had preemptively given me the reassurance that I was looking for before I even needed it. Now, additionally, demons often speak in riddles. Their messages can have hidden meanings. I recently posted a quote from the Goetic demon Crokel, where he said, "I crush the people who follow the Lord, but I redeem the serpent who crawls towards the sky." Now, obviously, this tells you a bit about his values. He's saying, if you're someone who is pursuing spiritual evolution, you're the type of person he likes to help. But there's a hidden meaning there. Serpent that crawls towards the sky? He was telling me that he's a great spirit to call on for Kundalini work. See? Now, I'm going to give you a more extreme example of why it's important to write these messages down. So a few years ago, I channeled Shimyaza, one of the leaders of the Watchers, for the first time. So he shows up, I ask who you are, and he says, "I am you. I am your way. I am your path. I am your soul." So in the moment, I thought okay, this doesn't make any fucking sense whatsoever. I think I'm fucking up this channeling session, basically. I felt like what I channeled was gibberish. But a few days later, I reread those words and I started thinking wait a minute. I think this does make sense. So I messaged J.S. Garrett, who I'd only just become acquainted with. Obviously, J.S. Garrett works closer with Shimyaza than I think anyone I know. So I knew he'd be a good person to ask. I said, "Hey, J.S., is there any chance that Shimyaza is somehow a fundamental component of human consciousness?" J.S. responded, "Yeah." He told me that, the first time people summon Shimyaza, he usually says to them, "I am you." I didn't even tell J.S. that Shimyaza had said that to me. It's just a common enough expression of his for J.S. to know it's a reoccurring thing. So Now you've heard a few stories about how I benefited from writing down the messages I get from the spirits. And hopefully you now see why you should do the same. Anyways, that's all for now. Have a great night and enjoy your immortality. Check out the link tree in the description below if you want a little more VK in your life. Make sure you turn notifications on if you want to be present during my live streams.